Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow from SG TCG, bringing you guys another locals. This time I took Vegapunk to locals, giving it a go. This is round two. In post round one, I just bricked super freaking hard with it. Uh, had nothing but Katakuris and Yamatos, but I believe he won the dice roll, chose for me to go first, so I started off my turn with tapping one Don and placing the Nico Robin in life. Vegapunk's ability is you could tap a Don, you could play a 5 cost or less egghead type character to the field or put it in life. So I went with the Robin, so when he swings at me, I could trigger her ability and I could draw 2 cards, which gives me more options to play. Which he passed his turn, he just sent Goku searched. I didn't see what he searched, but all we know is that he searched. And I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna tap the one Don and just put the Nico Robin into life. So when he attacks me twice, I'm gonna draw a total of 4 cards if I trigger both Nico Robins, which I will. So he's on his 4 Don turn now. Again, he's gonna figure out if he wants to attack me or if he just wants to. He's gonna build board, but he's got to figure out if he really wants to attack me to give me more of that card advantage. So swings 5 with the Sengoku. I trigger the Nico, draw 2, draw into a Yamato, which is perfect. I need that. Swings again for 6. I take it, trigger it, draw 2 more cards so I can get more options. The only thing that sucks is Vegapunk cannot attack, so I can't swing at that Sengoku to clear the board, so that he doesn't swing at me again. But I tap 3 to do the Lilith search, which kind of sucks because now I'm bottom decking that Yamato. But I have a choice between the Frankie and I believe it's the Edison. So I go with the Frankie for the 2K, and if I do get low enough, I can put him into life and trigger his ability where he plays himself out and draws a card. So I'm going to end the turn by tapping a Don and playing the Shaka, which is a 5/6 blocker. So when he swings at me, he's going to trigger it to play out onto the field, and then I have a free body to potentially block with or attack with the next turn, other than Lilith. And I end the turn by playing the Egghead Searcher. So looking at top 5 for an Egghead, I grabbed the Luffy, which is going to be perfect in this matchup since they play a lot of 4-cost cards, and the Luffy can pop that as long as I'm at 2 life. The drawback is I did send 2 Katakuris, which is what I need to basically stall out for this matchup. So I passed the turn to him. I'm very afraid for a pudding at this point because he could pudding my entire hand away, and I would go down to 5 cards, and I would lose. I believe I'm at 8, so I would lose 3 cards, and potentially all that high end that I need, or the top end cards that I need. So as you can see, he's got his Don split out. He's got 6. He's swinging 7 at lead, and right here, I should have took it instead of countering out, but I was worried about the pudding because I saw 4 Don. So he Jinbei'd to play the Dofi. If I would have took it, I would have played out the Shaka with the trigger, and then the Luffy ability would have been active because then I could have played it out, popped the body, which would have been the Jinbei, and drew a card and then put something into life. But since I did not take it, I can't go with the Luffy play, which would have been the more ideal play. So he passed his turn after he stacked the deck how he wanted to with the Dofi. I'm at 7 Don. I just drew into the Egghead Searcher. Really don't got a lot of options. I mean, I have a couple options, but Luffy isn't playable. I could search, but I risk sending the more top end stuff to the bottom. So I'm gonna just play out the Big Mom, which you still see me thinking about it. But the Big Mom on play, my opponent chooses if I trash a life, or he trashes a life, or I gain a life. He's gonna choose to trash his life. That way, he doesn't give me more life to stack that he's gonna have to get through. Which works out for me because since he's trashing it, he doesn't get it to hand. And that was a triggerable card, which would bottom deck my Lilith from the field. So after that, I pass it over to him. He's now at 8 Dawn, which we are now in Gravity Blade range. Sneak peek, this is exactly what's going to happen. So he's going to swing out, I believe, 6, or 5 and then 6. So 5, I take it to get the shock out of the field. I should have thought about what he was trying to do. But, I end up taking it. I trigger his ability to play out to the field, and he plays out Gravity Blade. Bottom decks the Lilith and the Shaka since Big Mom can't be targeted. It's only up to 2 6-cost characters. So then he swings 6. I take it. I get another Big Mom, so nothing triggers out. I draw, and he passes over. So here is I swing the Big Mom to the Jinbei. He blocks, and then I play out Yamato. Gives me a life, and I pop the Jinbei anyway. So was able to get rid of both of his bodies and gain a life, which is a plus for me. Would have been great. I played it as well as I could have. I could have did the Big Mom, swung, he would have trashed to life, and I could have still stacked. So I could have potentially got him down in life, but the Yamato was still the better play to heal and pop. So either way would have been good. So here he's thinking of what to do. He does Jinbei to a Law, and he could trigger Law's ability by bouncing and bottom decking a hand. But before that, he bottom decks the Yamato with Red Rock for 6 Dawn, which sucks because I was, setting up board for later game. So he does Law ability to bounce himself back, and I do have to bottom deck a card since I was at over 6. I believe 7 cards, yeah. So I have to bottom deck a card to the bottom of the deck. And he was able to draw for sending my Yamato to the bottom since he was at like about 5 cards. So he swung at me for 5. I decided to trigger the Egghead Scientist ability, which is draw 1 card. And then he passes over to me. I am now at 10 Dawn. Trying to figure out how to approach this. Ideally, I think I go with I thought I was gonna go with the Big Mom here, but the Luffy is a good play because then I could play it out, pop the Jinbei, draw a card on the pop, and then I can stack life still in this turn with clearing board. So I played the Lilith to search. Again, you see I'm sending the Yamato to the bottom, which sucks. But I'm able to grab Shaka, grab him to hand, and then now I'm going to tap, and I believe I do the Nico Robin to, again, continuously draw more cards, which is a little risky because, again, he could put in at any moment, and I just go back down to 5 cards. So I pass the turn to him. He's at 10 Dawn still, obviously. We reached the max capacity for Dawn for the game. He pays 6, and he red rocks my other Big Mom, which makes me wish I would have played the other Big Mom, but I thought the removal was better to do. So here he swings 5. I take it again to trigger Nico's ability to draw 2 cards. Trying to find more of my top end, which I'm not finding at this moment. And he plays out Gecko and grabs the Jinbei from trash so he could next turn play Jinbei to another 7 Warlord. So I draw into the Luffy again, and I believe I do it again. But first I play the Big Mom to see if he's going to trash a life or I gain a life. He trashes another life, which is smart because I want him to give me life, but he's taking his own life away, which is working for me since now he's not getting those cards in hand. And now I'm going to tap 1, and I believe I put the Luffy onto the field and pop the Gecko. Yep. So I trigger Luffy ability to pop, and I draw, and I get into another Luffy. So next turn I could do the exact same play again if I don't get into a Yamato or Katakuri. And if he floods the board with the Warlords. So I pass the turn, 2 Don up. Ideally, I want to use all the Don, but I'm not swinging at him yet. I don't want to give him options. Um, so I'm just passing turn. I'm just trying to stall and build my life and stack his life. So when I play Yamato's, I could pop his bigger bodies like his 10-drop Kaidos or his Boas with ease. He ends up playing the Boa Hancock, which stuns my big mom, and he chose not to bottom deck anything. And after that, he plays the Jinbei and plays out a Gecko, and he grabs a 2K from the trash. So he swung for 5. I countered out for 1. Here I Katakuri'd. I drew into it. I put the Boa to the bottom of his life, and I'm going to tap 1 and put the Luffy into my life. So now I could have played it out and popped the body right away, but me putting it into life is going to make him consider on how he's going to swing, because now if he swings with leader, I can trigger the Luffy to pop either his Jinbei or his Gecko, or if he swings with Jinbei, vice versa. I can pop a body on the field, which is going to halt one swing and buy me some time. So he asked how many cards I was at. I was at 7. I thought he was going to pudding, but he ends up doing the law. And then he pays 6 to play another Boa, which is going to stun. It doesn't matter. So he chose just the Lin Lin. And he bottom decks a Sengoku so that he could draw a card off his leader ability. Then he bounces the Law to hand. And his ability triggers off since I'm at 7. Well, he hasn't done it yet, but here he declares that he's going to swing with Jinbei. And then he takes it back because then he thought about the trigger. So he doesn't do it. He just bounces the Law. I just throw the Lilith. It's no counter, and I don't want to search again to, risk sending my top end to the bottom. He does decide to swing with the Jinbei, and I just pop the Gecko. Then he swings 5 with his leader. I give him a 2K counter to get out of that. Then he passes. 10 Don. Trying to figure out what to do. I believe I consider the Raigo to get rid of the Boa this turn, just so that I don't have to deal with it. But I was also considering holding on to it just in case he finds his 10-drop Kaido, and I want to have that removal to get rid of that. A 10-12 body is not it. So I'm trying to bait cards out of his hand, so I swing 5 with the Lilith to the Jinbei, and then I swing 8, and he actually counters out with 2Ks. I should have attached a Don onto the Katakuri and swung for 9 if my goal was to get rid of it, because then he would either had to give me 3 cards or let the Jinbei go, and then I could have Raigo'd the other Boa if I was trying to clear the entire board this turn. Instead, I play another Big Mom. He's going to trash a life. And he trashes a Sengoku. And then I tap 1. And I believe I should put the Frankie into life right now, because then I could trigger it. It would play itself out since I would only have 1 life when it triggers, and I draw a card. But I believe I go with the event, the 1-cost event card, where if I trigger this event card, I get to play out a 5 costs or lower Egghead card for my trash, which is also not a bad choice, because if I trigger it, I could put out the 5-cost Space Luffy, and I will be at 1 life, so I could trigger it and pop the Jinbei for free, and draw a card, which is keeping the board control. So I pass to him with 2 Don up. He swings with the Jinbei. Here, I just counter out instead of taking the life and playing out the body, because he could Gravity Blade and potentially remove it with like the Lilith and the Luffy when it plays out. So I take it this time. I didn't trigger it, or I didn't counter. I was afraid of a potential Gravity Blade at this point, so it's much less not worth it. If it's just a Lilith, it'd be a waste of a Gravity Blade. He ends up tapping 1 Don, playing out the Sengoku. And he's looking for a 7 Warlords card. He ends up choosing the Crocodile, which is another 2K counter in hand. So he's replenishing all the stuff he just countered with. And I believe he does another Boa, if I'm not mistaken. No, he doesn't. Taps 4, plays 3,000 worlds, bottom decks my Lilith, so he's keeping a little bit of board control going. And he's still got 4 Dawn left? No, 5 Dawn left. And I believe he sticks it all on Boa and swings out. Yep. 13 at Katakuri. So here I could have got out of it, but it would have took my entire hand. I think I'm really highly considering it because then I could apply pressure back to his board. I could tap a Dawn, use that event card, which would give me plus 3k, which would put Cat at 11, and then I would have to use my 2/2ks in the hand, and then that would get me over. But not worth it in my eyes to dump 3 cards to save the Katakuri just to come and on the clapback. It probably would have been worth it, but I ended up drawing another Katakuri that gets rid of the Boa anyway. I put it at the bottom of his life. I swing 8 at the Jinbei, and he ends up giving me 2/2ks again. I attach a Dawn to the Big Mom and swing at the Jinbei again. Gets rid of it this time, and I tap a Dawn and put the event card back into life again. Because again, I could play out a Shaka, I could play out a Space Luffy, and I could either get a blocker or, potentially something to get on board to pop a 4 cost, which is majority of what, Boa or Dofi are playing in the deck. The 7 Warlords package. So he's considering on what to do. He's got I was thinking he was gonna Red Rock or potentially another Boa, but he swings 10k at a Big Mom. So I was kind of like, well, that's kind of fucked. I just end up, I believe, just letting. Oh, I know. I counter out for 4k, and then he plays out. He doesn't play nothing. He swings 8k with the Sengoku. I have to let it go at that point because I do not have the counter. It would have probably been smarter to let it go for the first swing, and then when he swings with the Sengoku, I could have just countered out for 2k instead of wasting 2/2ks on the leader swing. I just was not anticipating him to swing out like that. So when my turn goes, I just draw into Shaka. I tap 1 Dawn, put the Shaka into life. I do not swing with the Big Mom or the Katakuri because if I swing at the Sengoku, I risk him just attaching all Dawn and swinging at one of them, and I have no counter in hand. All I have is a Raigo to pop a body. So, not worth it. So he's got 10 Dawn to play with. He could potentially swing out big like he did the last turn. Or play out another Boa, which I believe is the move he's gonna do. I've been anticipating this Boa each turn now. I know it's coming. So he swings 6 at lead. I play the shock out. Now I believe he's gonna tap 6 to play Boa. Oh no, here he goes. Does 11 again. This time I trigger it and I play out the Space Luffy. Yeah, no, I'm considering the Space Luffy or Shaka. It's one or the other, but I go with the Space Luffy. Boa wouldn't have been bad for him because he could have stunned a Katakuri swing and bottom deck to Sengoku and then drew a card. But the Sengoku is actually putting in a lot of work for him, so I could understand why he didn't. And hence why I didn't swing with the Big Mom or Katakuri the last turn, because he would have just swung out at them with his leader. So now I started applying pressure. I swing 6 at life. I pop the Luffy and pop his Sengoku to draw a card. And now I tap 9, play Yamato to heal, which was perfect. This is the best thing I could have got out of that. I tap 1 and put the Lilith into life. So now I healed twice in 1 turn. And I passed the turn. I'm setting up for the next turn. Since now he's at 3 life, I now have 3 big bodies and a Shaka blocker and 3 life. So this is the whole tempo with the Vegapunk deck. It's basically stall out as much as I can, give my opponent life, because if they're not gonna Big Mom trash their life, I'm gonna gain life, and then when I Katakuri, I'm putting stuff into their life, and I'm gonna leave it there so that I could play out a Yamato and potentially KO, 8 cops kid, 10 drop Dofi, or in this case, a 10 drop Kaido, if I can get their life to where I want it to be at. It's crazy how this deck works, and it's only gonna get better in OP8, I believe, when the Nami comes out in the Bonnie. So in his turn, he plays out the Boa, stuns, I believe, the Yamato. With his extra Don, he plays out a Gecko, and he grabs Dofi blocker from the trash. And I don't think he swings with leader. If he swings with the leader, I'm going to trigger the Lilith from life and play it out and then just swing wide. He's considering on how to swing. Oh no, I think he already passed over. That's why I drew the Frankie. So here I'm considering on doing the Raigo, which was a little scary. I shouldn't have done it like that, but I went 9 to leader. He's gonna have to take it. He's got a decent amount of cards, but if he wants to counter out, it's gonna be 3 cards, which is exactly what he does. 3 2Ks. Now he's down to 2 cards in hand, which I can swing another 9 with Katakuri, and it's a guaranteed swing in. Or 9 with Yamato, and I still know it's gonna go through. And the last 2 cards in his life are 2 bricks, so it's kind of a point where I know I have him. He doesn't have any more counter other than what's potentially in his hand and the card that he's drawing from life at this very moment. So I attach 2 to Shaka. I swing out. I risk it all by playing the Raigo, trashing my life down to nothing. And I tap a Dom, put the Frankie in life, because then I could trigger the Frankie, play itself out, draw a card. I have nothing in hand. I don't swing with the Yamato because he would have probably swung at the Yamato over the Big Mom and the Katakuri, since it has a 1k extra power to itself. So he plays the 3-drop Dofi, and he's stacking his deck. See what he wants to do. And I believe he plays out another 3-cost Dofi right after it. And it's not a bad idea, because now I have to swing 3 times, 4 times to get a win here, because he's got 2 blockers, 1 life, and I still got to hit him 1 more time after. So he's got 4 Dawn to play with. He's got 2 swings, attaches 3, swings at Katakuri, attaches 1, swings at Shaka. So he gets 2 bodies off board, hence why I was afraid of swinging with Yamato. Although if he attached all the Dawn to just get rid of Yamato, I would have kept the Shaka. So he's got 3 cards in hand. He's got the Gecko tapped, 2 blockers. I think I just put all the pressure onto the Gecko. So I swung 15 at the Gecko, and I swung 14. I don't know, whatever 4 Dawn on the Yamato is 13. At Gecko again, I have one Dawn and a Dream. But all I have is Flampe 2K in hand. I'm making him think that it's potentially the event card. So he passes turn. He ends up blocking both swings at the Gecko. Which is not a bad idea, but I don't know if I probably would have just let the Gecko go. I mean, I guess it makes no difference, to be honest. Gecko's got a 5K base stat line compared to the 4K that the Dofi has, so I'm in a pretty good point at this spot of the game. So he Boas, stuns the Yamato, which sucks because I was gonna go for game this turn. He swings 9 at the Big Mom. I counter for 2K. This is exactly what I have. If he passes the turn, I got lucky this turn. I got both my bodies on board. If he was able to get rid of the Big Mom, this is where it would have changed the turn of the game, tie to the game, and probably put it in his favor. So I draw into that Luffy. I hard play it out for 5, pop the Gecko, and I considered putting the Frankie in life, but I just keep it. Whether I put it in the life or not, he could have stalled it. I just didn't think it was worth it, because then I could just trigger this Frankie and put it onto the field. I don't swing because he could Boa, attach a lot of Dawn on the Boa, and swing out at either Big Mom or Yamato. So I'm playing it slow so that next turn the 2 bodies can stick. If he doesn't play any blockers, I could go for the game, since he only has 1 life left. And if he swings at the Frankie, I could trigger Frankie, and that gives me 3 bodies on the field. So he swings 5. I believe I counter. No, I take it. I take it right away, draw a card, and he plays himself out. Swings 8. I take it. I don't have enough counter for that. It triggers the event, which is perfect. So now I get to play out a body. I just put out the Space Luffy. So in this turn, I was able to play out 2 bodies, and then he just plays out 10 drop Kaido, which is what I was saving Raigo for this entire game, and does not come out until right now. And at this point, this is pretty much game. I have 4 swings. He's got, I believe, 6 cards. He just drew 4 off the Kaido, which puts him now at 7 cards in hand. So I have 4 swings to be able to get through for a game with 7 cards in hand. That could be all 2Ks, but he has wasted a lot of cards. He gave me his trash so I could look through it. I was fine without it. I knew I pretty much had it set. Separate the Dawn out. I have 3, so I could attach it to Luffy to swing for 9. 4, so I could put on Frankie and swing another 9. So with the Luffy swing, he ends up giving me 4 cards, which 1 2K and 3 1Ks, which leaves him down to only 3. So I end up swinging with Frankie next for 9. It goes through, and at this point, he has no counter. So I just put the last 3 Dawn on the Big Mom and swing out, and that was game. If you guys like the content, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below what you guys thought and would like to see next. Catch you on the next one.